welcome.
Hello, Arne.
So maybe for people that don't know you or that don't know Wunderman yet, could you give us a small introduction on who you are and who Wunderman is exactly?
Yeah, so Wunderman is a leading global digital agency with headquarters in New York. We have more than 10,000 employees globally and 200 offices across the world in 70 markets. I am the talent director for the EMEA region, where we have 80 offices and approximately 3,500 employees. So that's it.
Yeah, that's perfect. So the idea of this series is to talk with HR a bit about projects they've done, about changes that are happening in HR. When you set out a couple of years ago, maybe to do new projects, to think about what do we need to do with talent management EMEA, how did you start? What was the first thing that gave birth to all of these projects that you did? Because I know that you did quite a few.
Yeah. Well, what we notice in our industry is that we have an above average employee churn. We have to compete with tech and consultancy companies, with startups. So we were looking for a way to kind of differentiate ourselves and to decrease, of course, our churn rate, to attract some new curious talent. And we did a global engagement survey in all of our regions. And one of the things that came out was that that people really wanted to have some clarity and some guidance in career development, especially the clarity around it. And so we were thinking about building a culture where we can help people in their career, so that's one of the most important things, but also to celebrate the individual person. And that is how we set up our U-Time talent strategy. We called it U-Time because we wanted to put the focus on our individuals. And that was one of the major things that came out of this survey, that people wanted to be able to be their whole self, bring their passions, their strengths into their job, and that also how that impacted their careers.
That's awesome. And so how long was that ago? Was that like 2 years ago?
Yeah, we launched the survey and the U-Time strategy mid-2016. Yeah.
Okay, and so the U-Time strategy, to put it very briefly, is more let's say, a campaign. It's about knowledge, it's about skills. Is it about processes as well? Did you implement very strict things that managers had to follow, or was it more?
No, yeah, it was more soft, and it isn't. Well, we call it a strategy, but it's more our way to approach people. And so within U-Time, we have several initiatives. So one of the initiatives, for example, is an employer brand campaign that focuses on the individual. Because while doing that research and while looking at the results of the survey, we noticed that we could identify potential types of career paths, and so we identified 5 career paths. I don't know if it's useful to just name them all, or
I think so, yeah, because I know what you've done with the career paths, and I'm a big fan of those personas.
Yeah. So the career paths that we identified were the 5 to 9ers. So that were the people who developed businesses and passions outside of work. We have the entrepreneurs. Those are the people who are entrepreneurs inside their businesses. We have the globetrotters. These are people who really try to make the most out of the global network. They travel around from one market to another. We have the pathfinders. These are the people who really manage to have a career within the agency. We have philanthropists, people who find it really, really important to give time and money to good causes. And then we have the industry butterflies. These are people who came from a specialist industry moving to the agency world. And so finding out about these career paths, that was really, really important to us. We used these career paths also to launch an employer brand campaign. And we use them, of course, in our career conversations we have with our people. We didn't put any strict processes into place, but we really try to motivate managers to have conversations with their team members. And that is really, really important, to have career conversations. So we provide training plans for managers, but also for employees, because in Wunderman baseline is we motivate people to take action of their own career. So that is really important, that they take action themselves too. So we help them thinking about their career. We give them some exercises, and so that they take the lead also in having conversations with their managers. Mm-hmm. And and then we it was important to track the content of these conversations. We wanted to know if these conversations are actually happening. And so that is why we set up the tool, the Intuit tool, to help support the conversation.
To help log the conversations. Mostly.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, the campaign ran a while before the tool was introduced.
Yeah.
So talking about the U-Time campaign, together with those personas, did you get some early reactions, some early results from the managers?
Yes, we do. And I think it's really, really helpful, because of course that is one of the ways that we identify new projects too, while having these conversations, you know, and while trying to be as close to our people as possible. You receive a lot of feedback, which we try to track, of course, too. And we've noticed that the relationship within the teams with the managers improved a lot. We can identify issues much faster, and a lot of our people already, you know, changed their career or made really clear progressions because we focus that much on the conversations. One of the most important things that came out of it also was our female leadership program, which is called Pass It On. And Pass It On was initiated because we noticed that there was a lack of women in leadership roles. So that is, of course, the case in many industries, but we wanted to really make it one of our most important talent topics. And the program is focusing on supporting women to make a step up in their career, and how we can make it easier for them to move up in the career ladder and to get these leadership roles too.
And are there any, that's quite interesting, are there any concrete KPIs? Because I know there's a big discussion around whether you should set KPIs to have a specific amount or a specific percentage of women in a specific role, or is that not the case with you? Is it more like a sort of awareness campaign that you're doing?
Well, it isn't really an awareness campaign. Yeah, of course, when you talk about diversity, there goes some unconscious bias training with it. Mm-hmm. But we just wanted to make sure that while investigating, while doing research, we noticed that one of the biggest barriers for women to move up in the career ladder were actually themselves. They have a glass ceiling. So we recognize that there is a need to empower women to empower themselves. So we encourage women to focus on what they want to achieve, the plans for success, and of course, then issues come up like flexible working hours, shared jobs, and all these things. We set up workshops doing exercises with these women, and we motivate these women to pass it on in their local countries. So now, globally, we have already 200 high potential women who did that program.
Yeah, cool. And so, what's the shared jobs you mentioned? What does that what does that mean exactly?
Yeah, well, the difference between, for instance, flexible work or part-time work is that you have two people actually doing the same job. For instance, one works 70% and the other one too, and they have the same profiles, not really similar, but they have this, they share the same values, and they actually do the same job or partial, a part of their job. So, for instance, when you have a day off on Wednesday and you come back to the office, then it is not that you have a huge amount of work laying there waiting for you. Then actually your job is already done because you shared your job with someone else. And that seems working really well in our industry. So we just did, a couple of tests with it, but now we're looking closely to kind of maybe do it, just make it on a broader scale and just try to do it more often.
That makes sense. That's cool. So maybe you've done a lot of projects. Obviously, you're still doing a lot of projects. I can imagine that being in such an international environment, you're in basically every country in the world, or maybe 60 or something.
Almost, yeah. Almost.
So even across EMEA, that's a whole lot of countries. So I can imagine in such a thing like the U-Time project, where you will encourage managers to have more meaningful conversations with people, that change management is a big part of your job, actually. So are there any key takeaways you had there, convincing managers, convincing local HR managers to get started on this project? Anything that you learned from that experience?
Yeah, we learned that it isn't that easy to to learn and to make them aware. So communication is really, really crucial. It is not like just email them and this is the program we're going to launch. It is actually like setting up workshops, sit really closely with them, try to have face-to-face conversations, gather feedback, and then also take the learnings and adopt your projects if needed. But crucial is communication, of course, and then really even on global level, we set up calls, we set up meetings, just to keep gathering feedback as much as we can, and also provide trainings and help and support managers and employees to be aware of the programs and the feedback of it.
And did you have a country that really jumped to the occasion? Like this, Vera, this was what we were waiting for. Finally, you're there. And could you copy that to the other countries, or is there a very big difference in all the countries and how they react?
Yeah, there is a difference because you have countries and they have really already elaborate talent programs in place that fit their culture. So they were a bit like, okay, do we need to change now? Or they were a bit reluctant about the whole thing. And then you have other countries and they didn't have a really talent program. So they were really, really happy that we would help them and launch it for them. And so they were really happy about it. But even in the countries who had already talent programs, it is really important that the program fits the local culture and the local office. So they just adopted it and tried to make it their own, so that it isn't a case of telling them what they need to do. It is mainly about supporting them and make it clear to them that it is a support, and that way it worked best.
All right. And do you do anything once they've got started, maybe after 6 months, after 12 months, some fun stuff you did to reinforce this, to make sure that managers didn't forget about this whole process? Because it wasn't in their KPIs as far as I did it.
Yeah, well, next year it will be in the KPIs. Definitely. Yeah, CEOs, they will definitely put it in the KPIs. Yeah, you have to keep on communicating. You have to make them aware. We try to share stories, testimonials of people. That is really helpful. We do a lot on social channels where while having conversations, we track stories and some great testimonials, and we translate them in a kind of an employer brand campaign, and that we can use that as well externally as internally. And by sharing testimonials, great stories, experiences, we try to keep the momentum going. Yeah.
And so when you got started, if you look back at it now, do you feel like, let me first ask another question. So when you got started, did you first do this sort of experiment with one country and then moved on to doing it like broader, or did you just do the full-on big bang, this is you time, everybody, you know, get talking with your managers get talking with your team
Yeah.
members? Was it more like that?
Yeah, it was like the U-Time strategy was launched globally. So there was a global communication, but then in EMEA we set up face-to-face calls and one-on-one calls and meetings to see also, well, there have been some adaptations for our region because there is a cultural difference between the US and Europe, of course. So we did some changes, but it was rolled out globally because we want to have a consistent talent approach, of course. But even within that consistent approach, people are able to customize in their own countries. And now we test, we gather, we receive feedback from several countries, and the launch was really successful. But I think it's important that everyone kept their own cultural thing too. So yeah, so you have a mixture. So we launched the strategy globally, but while using
the announcement was global.
Yeah, the announcement. Yeah, this is our approach, and then markets were able to adapt and make it their own. But talking about the tool, yeah, there we decided to launch it first in one country, gather feedback, and take the learnings to launch it in several other countries too.
And so hindsight is, do you think this is the best approach to launch something similar, or would you have done something different in launching U-Time?
Well, I would prefer to do it first on a smaller scale, to be honest, and then see how it is received, and then gather feedback from people to also to make the communication more, you know, appropriate and yeah. So I would definitely launch first in a smaller market and then roll out globally or several countries and learn from your feedback.
And why is that? Do you feel like there was too much or too little buy-in because it was too vague, or any other reason that you think it would be better to test it out small first?
Yeah, and I think, well, I totally, the U-Time strategy, that is like really the strategy, and that works really well. But how people receive it and communication about it, that depends a lot, you know, from country to country, and is received in a different way. So yeah, that's something that we definitely need. That I would change if I could do this again. Yeah.
All right, that's good. Maybe a final thought that I had, like the personas. So you offer, I think I counted 6 personas.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I was wrong as well the first time. So you offer these personas to people, so managers can, you know, become better coaches. So people have an idea of all the possibilities there are within Wunderman. You basically want them to take ownership over their career, and you offer a framework for it. But do you still have the old school framework, the old school stuff? Like you start off as a junior, and then you become a media, and then a senior, and then a junior manager, et cetera, or don't you have that promotion system, fixed career track system anymore?
No, we don't have a really fixed career process anymore. It is mainly our U-Time conversations focus on strengths and passions. So it is, we talk about long-term ambitions and short-term goals with our people. And I think we don't have a really hierarchy within Wunderman. Of course, you have senior roles, but it's more about the value that people bring into the company and how they progress themselves. So we don't have really fixed career or formal career paths. No, we don't have those.
And you feel like there's an advantage to not having fixed career paths, and to have people, you know, be motivated by their internal motivation, so to say, and to offer them a framework to find out what's your internal motivation, as opposed to, you know, this is a career track you're going to follow. Do you see the advantages of that?
Yeah, I see it because, yeah, definitely we ask more action from the people themselves. So they need to be aware. They should, they should show their strengths, and they should be, they can take action themselves.
And so do you have any disadvantages of not having a formal career path?
Yeah, some of them really ask, and there is a difference within the countries. So you have, for instance, the Czech Republic. They really prefer to have like a clear view on the future. Well, this is where I'm going to be in 2 years, and then in 5 years. So they ask for it, and then it's up to the manager and the local market. Well, try to find the middle between, like, them taking care of having the traditional career paths, or just focusing on strengths and how it evolves within the years. And I see benefits in both of them, but as long as there is clear communication and clarity around the possibilities and opportunities within Wunderman.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So would it be maybe because in the Czech Republic there's a lot of juniors in there as well? Because in my experience, once it you have to know yourself before you can be guided by such a loosely defined career framework. I think
Yes.
for the organization it's better, because all of a sudden, if you just have the fixed framework, all of a sudden you have a company that's full of managers, and that's, especially as an agency, that's kind of hard to deal with financially, so to say. But if people are too junior and they don't know themselves that well, it's very hard to determine what's going to be your career driver. And it doesn't matter if it changes every now and then, because that holds true for all ages. But I feel like juniors specifically, if you don't know what your strengths are and your internal motivation is yet, then that framework becomes especially hard. So do you have separate like career paths for those juniors then, or do you want them to follow the general principles?
Yeah, we don't have a special approach for juniors. We do have managers training to, how to have conversations with those more junior people. And we also have training programs for those junior people. So we provide them with some exercises they can do, which make them think about their own career and what they want. Because, yeah, it is really difficult. And even for more senior people, they often didn't,
think
they
about
just
it.
don't know. Yeah,
I'm just here from 9 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock.
And so they don't know what they really want. That is often the discussion. They don't know what they want and how they want to progress and what they want within 5 years. So then, we provide some exercises for them to do. So make them aware of what do you really like in your past project. What were your strengths? What did you really like? What did you really enjoy? And try to make it, and that way, clear to them what their future career could be, or what they really want to achieve.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
What they want to do more of, actually.
All right, Vera, I think I have everything I need. Is there any last piece of advice that you would like to share with other HR managers?
Keep having conversations, listen to your people, and gather feedback and learn from that feedback. That is one of the most important lessons that I took out of it. Yeah.
Come out of your ivory tower.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, Vera, thank you very much for sharing. And
Thank you.
we'll talk to each other soon, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.